I'm Richard Banks. Join me as I embark on an odyssey through Greece, land of the gods. From the amber of ancient times to the present, the Western world has basked in the glorious inspiration of the Greek myths. These strangely magnificent tales are deeply embedded in our culture and our collective unconscious. On this trip, I hope to discover what relevance and meaning the great gods of Olympus might have for us today.
Inaugural shoot for Quest of the Gods.
Scene one, take one. Here we are, the city of Athena.
Okay. How are you guys acting?
You ready? A coffee.
Καλώς ήρθες, καλώς ήρθες. Καλώς ήρθες στην Ελλάδα.
That's all Greek to me.
I know, but by the end of this journey, it won't.
So I was hoping perhaps you could.
I'm gonna stop us, guys, because I'm just getting told a side view.
Okay.
So this time I'm gonna be over this shoulder.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm gonna be over the other shoulder because I got my shadow. Just over a little bit. And so that, and so when you greet her, sort of step to the side, and then you're gonna kind of,
Do a 3/4 angle.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna look more over there.
yeah. All right, we all ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go, and
Keep your hair back.
okay, here we go.
Yep.
Action.
A coffee.
Richard,
It's a
welcome.
pleasure to meet you.
Καλώς ήρθες στην Ελλάδα. Welcome to my homeland.
Wow, it's great
so
to
good
be here.
See you.
Yeah,
Don't you love it already?
It's so beautiful. It is such an amazing city. You are
Well-
so lucky to have been born here.
Thank you.
Now, Ariana said that you understood the spirit of the gods then and now, perhaps better than anybody.
Well, you know, the gods are still alive. They're alive in us and they're alive in everything you see. They're the archetypes. They're in all of us. And they are everywhere in the land, in the tavernas, in the people talking. And that's what I want to show you.
Okay.
How they're alive in the people. They're alive in not just in the temples, but in life.
Uh-huh.
Would you like to see something?
I would, if you would show me around, I'd love it.
Pame, it's the Greek word for let's go.
Okay,
Pame.
Mame. The voices of the gods and goddesses call out to us from the ruins of this country's ancient civilization. Perhaps, like no other place, Greece has dazzled the world and inspired flights of the imagination with its unmatched wealth of archaeological remains. What kind of footwear do they wear during?
Oh, the sandals, right?
Yeah.
So we'll do that. We'll do that on the second take because we're gonna do.
Okay.
We're gonna do because we're gonna get the initial conversation, and then I'm gonna get like wide shots of you, or cutaways of you guys walking together that we can cut in between.
Okay.
So that's one shot we can get.
The reason he's wearing a dress is because he symbolizes the musician aspect of himself.
Oh, good. Diedrich, could you shoot that statue, the one that's on the end there, the Apollo
And
statue?
I was just telling them what you told me, that the reason why
Great.
he's wearing
And slug it too, so that
and
Dave
the
will know
reason
when
why
he's
he's
editing.
wearing a dress. Let us know when you want us.
All right. So just right over here. All right. We ready to do this?
Yes.
Sort of. If you could go. Let's see. We're gonna go down. We keep going, Richard. I don't know which one to go to.
Where are you going?
I got basically
and I'll-
a good distance, like,
Further?
let's see, there's like those two right there.
Those bigger
Back
statues,
two
huh?
more, back two more, maybe.
Back two more statues.
You what?
That's good.
Okay, follow Richard.
Follow Richard.
Thank you.
We're gonna start to walk.
Okay, ready? And walk with me.
So, Agape, we're in something called a stoa.
That's
What-
right.
What was a stoa?
A stoa is a corridor with colonnade. You see all the colonnades, and it has a roof. And that was the stoa. This stoa is by King Attalus the king of Pergamum, and he gave it to the Greeks to honor the intellectual power of the Greeks.
Okay.
He came and he gave us this as a present.
But what did they do here?
And what this is, imagine this like the ancient mall.
Okay.
There was shopping and there was conversation, and it was an ancient mall, and it was busy. And all the statues of the gods were here, so that it became like it was a welcoming for the people to come and to buy and to converse. Social. It was a social gathering. There were 14 gods and goddesses, 7 men, 7 women, very equal. And each one of them exemplifies a particular human characteristic, the good and the bad, the weaknesses and the strengths. So they were mirroring ourselves. It is what Carl Jung, the 21st psychologist, said, that they are part of the collective unconscious. Think of it like the software of the psyche.
Oh, yeah.
My question was in his heart, which comes first, adventure or writing?
I guess if I had to choose, I would say maybe the writing. There's a lot of satisfaction that comes from that. But the writing has all been about adventure. So you have to do the adventure first, and then you can write about it. And then the nice thing about writing is it allows you to consider and probe and analyze what you experienced. So you hopefully can decipher it and come up with some truth. That's your goal. So, at least for me, every day you have experiences, but you don't often have the opportunity to consider what the experiences mean. Whereas if you have the time and the will to write about it, then it requires that you think about it in hopefully a deeper way and come up with some understanding.
Thank you, Richard. Writing.
What he's most passionate about. Where's the passion?
Yes, exactly. Passion is a Greek word, don't forget. We can't live without passion, absolutely. Pathos, yes, pathos.
So here she is, mighty Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, eros, symbolizing primordial femininity, pure erotic love. One of the things that the Greeks, Richard, really knew well was to honor the body. Besides the size, besides the form, besides the body image, they just loved the body. And what she teaches us is, she was the only goddess, by the way, who appeared nude. She teaches us to love ourselves unconditionally. And if we want to have more of her energy in our lives, we must suspend judgments about our body image. Love and adore ourselves just the way we are. And what the Greeks knew so well, and she also is the role model of that, is to live in the moment, in the glory of the moment. So if we want to be more like Aphrodite and exemplify more of this Greek passion, we must also live in the moment. One of my favorite monologues in English literature is the speech by Orinthia in the play by Bernard Shaw, The Apple Cart. And to me, she exemplifies Aphrodite. She's so full of herself. She loves herself. And so she's talking to the king, King Magnus, and this is what she says to him. Give me a goddess's work to do, and I will do it. I will even stoop to a queen's work if you share the throne with me. But do not pretend that people become great by doing great things. They do great things because they are great, and they're great just the same if they never did anything. If I never did anything but sit in this room, powder my face, and tell you, my darling, what a clever fool you are, I would still be by heavens high above the millions of common women who do the domestic duties, sacrifice themselves, and run trade departments. Has all the tedious work you have done made you any the better? You are the same man and would have been the same man to me and to yourself if you have never done them. Magnus, I am the real queen. I'm one of nature's queens, and they know it. And if you do not know it, you are not one of nature's kings. When are you going to face our destiny? You and I are meant to be king and queen. And your wife, the queen, what should you do with her? I don't know, drown her. Tell your chauffeur to drive her into the Serpentine and leave her there. The woman makes you ridiculous. Am I not worth it? Look into my eyes. Tell the truth. Am I worth it or not?
Wow.
No, Agora means market. This was the heart of the city. This is where everybody who was anybody would gather, from Plato to Aristotle to Socrates. They all gathered, and politicians. It was also a center of commerce. So there would be sales going on, and it was a social gathering, but with a lot of conversation and
A lot of ideas.
a lot of new ideas. This is where democracy was born. These were very old giants, and they were like the Titans, and Zeus also included them.
And when we come back to get to Hephaestus, we'll do that part of the Agora stuff.
Yes, and the
There's
thing
a
about the
little bit
body,
of-
mind, and spirit.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a little bit of a walk.
Beautiful.
Not bad.
That's beautiful.
So, and if we get that much done today, we will be.
You'll be so happy, won't you?
We'll be very thrilled.
Wonderful.
So,
Well, of course
and
we will get it done.
especially if we have permission at Delphi tomorrow. That's, you know.
What a magnificent temple. Whose temple is this?
This is the temple of Hephaestus, a very mighty, mighty god. He was actually the only god, Richard, at Olympus that worked. He was born out of Hera, just Hera, out of her thigh.
Okay, right.
And Hera took one look at him and he said, "What an ugly child," and kicked him off at Olympus. And his feet got crooked and he's club-footed, so he's walking with his feet backwards.
Poor guy.
I know, but he was pretty mighty in everything else. He had relentless creativity, and he was constantly working, making things for Olympus, for the gods, for the goddesses. And he symbolizes the part of man who identifies solely with his work. So outside his work, he feels out of place.
You know, he is the one God that gives all men hope, because even though he was the ugliest god, he married the most beautiful woman.
He marries Aphrodite. I mean, he has to blackmail Zeus and all the gods to give him Aphrodite. Otherwise, he won't bring his mother, who he ties up. You know, he was very creative and strategic. So, but anyways, good news. He marries the most beautiful woman. And then, of course, she betrays him and has an affair with his brother, Ares, the god of war. It's very...
What a dysfunctional family.
Of course. it has every element of a Greek comedy and a Greek tragedy.
Now, what does the name Hephaestus mean?
Hephaestus means volcano,
Oh, just like
because
Vulcan.
because
Okay.
he makes things with fire,
Okay.
and also because he has volcanic energy,
Okay.
and also because he was born at Hephaestus. He was born at a volcanic island.
And what did he make exactly?
He made everything. He made the palaces at Olympus. He made the bow and arrow of Apollo. He made the winged sandals of Hermes. He made Hera's throne. He made jewelry for the gods and the goddesses. He made Athena's helmet. He made the he made the spear of Achilles.
He was good.
He was busy.
Yeah.
He was busy, and that's what gave him the power, the creativity.
Great. As I travel here, I am losing the illusion that I know where I am. The next marker is Delphi, favorite site of the sun god Apollo.
여기 가려져 있거든. 이 앞에 있는 사람들은 번영을 찍는 거야. 그래서 저 안에 저 적혀 있지.
The ruins of Delphi open up like a grand amphitheater, embraced by sun-drenched hillsides. They fill unsuspecting mortals with a quiet sense of wonder. This was a center of worship of the great god Apollo. So this spot right here represents the navel of the world. Looks a bit like an egg, or an eagle's egg. And the story goes that Zeus, when he wanted to discover where the center of the universe was, released 2 eagles from Mount Olympus. They flew in opposite directions and they converged, they met here. And this became the navel of the world, the center of the universe. In Homer's The Odyssey, the gods of Mount Olympus are called immortal. So what happened? Well, one of the answers is that in the 4th century AD, the Roman Emperor Theodosius, by decree, banned the worshiping of the Greek gods, thereby condemning them to the mist and clouds of history.
Let's do one quick safety on this.
Okay.
And this time, Agapi, I'm going to have you cheat a little more towards me this time.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, that was really good, and it looked
The
just
ideas
fine.
were
So
great.
if
And
I
the
ever see
interaction was
anything that really doesn't look good, I'm going to stop us.
Absolutely. There is one thing that it says in Greek what a dion means that I can't remember. Can I just look at the book 1 second? It says the Zeus book. It says Dias. There's a Dias
means God.
Well, it means Theos means God. Dias means it comes out of balancing 2 things. It's done
Diedrich, I need you to back up.
Our producer is relaxed, confident. He infuses us.
anymore.
Okay, I need
He
everybody actually to
infuses
back up
us
so I
with
can see you.
calmness.
All right.
Ready?
All right, let's go.
So, this is my favorite place, Richard, here.
I can understand why.
You know, it has everything. It had the theater, it had the temple, it had the stadium, it had everything you can imagine. That it was
And a view.
like, and a view, and a view, and a nice little restaurant downstairs. Part of it, really, what it symbolized is the body, mind, and soul of the Greek. You see, the Dionysian principle here was about everything in the round,
Yes.
while Apollo was everything in the square.
I see. Yeah.
The principle was that life is cyclical. It goes in cycles.
Right.
Life, birth, creativity, there's nothing static about it. So as you see here, you see, it's all in the round. And what is amazing is that this place here had everything. It had what the Greeks believed in: body, mind, and soul. They had the gymnasium for the body, the temple for the soul, and they had for the intellect, for the mind, the theaters. So everything was here. And Apollo was in the hub, in the center of this. Apollo is really the god of light. He's the god of the sun. He brings in a golden light to illuminate us with clarity, with reason, with high order of the highest. You know how we had to climb up to get here?
We had to
Because
achieve it.
You have to
Yeah.
achieve it. You have to earn Apollo's knowledge. You have to study it, the symmetry, the perfection. He's impeccable. And he's impeccable outwardly, but inside he infuses us with a sense of beauty that is it's a soul beauty.
Oh, hang on.
Yes, tell me.
He sounds.
You love him already.
Well, I love him, except he sounds too perfect. I thought the gods were human-like and they had foibles and flaws.
Yes, he had his flaws. Trust me, you know, he wanted a girl to love him. Who wouldn't, you know? I'm so perfect, someone love me. Well, he couldn't get a girl. He had to buy them. He had to say, I'll promise you, like Cassandra, he said, I'll promise you the gift of prophecy. You can have it if you love me back. And he said, sure. Of course, then she became the greatest prophetess, but then she said, well, now I don't love you. But when a God gives a gift, he can't take it back. So she said, now I curse you. Nobody will believe you. How smart was that? So Cassandra went crazy because she would say, Troy is burning, but nobody would believe her. So he couldn't get somebody to love him. He had this difficulty and weakness with the opposite sex. Partly it's because he was too perfect, and love is messy.
So his imperfection was that he was too perfect.
He was too perfect, too orderly, too organized. While Dionysus was also worshipped here, you know, in the theater, 6 months of the year was Dionysian,
right.
6 months was Apollonian. So Dionysus was be thyself, celebrate, be free. Apollo, nothing in excess, everything in order, know that. Gnosis ton eafton, it says in Greek, know thyself. His closets, like if we imagine that he had closets around here, were perfect. Perfect color, you know, all the colors, the sizes.
Organized.
Organized. His clothes were perfect. Now, Dionysus, the clothes on the floor, scattered around.
It's like my house.
Right. So you have a little bit of the Dionysus. But what they bring to us is the balance we all seek. The healing and the wholeness that happened in Delphi was that the intuition of Dionysian free spirit and the order, the reason of Apollo came together to tell us, to inspire us into wholeness.
And balance.
And balance.
Hey, Rich, so first impressions?
First impressions, it looks like something that even James Bond couldn't scale.
So, like, where are we? What's the plan today?
Actually, it looks sort of like an alien landscape, doesn't it? It looks like something on the surface of Mars. Or out of the Jetsons. Looks like there's little condos from the Jetsons. Searing the landscape is one of Greece's transcendent sights, the sandstone peaks of Meteora. If there is an architecture of impending danger, it is here. The arrows of rock take clear aim at the imagery of heaven and hell. The fall into the gorge is a deadly, terrible possibility. In the 9th century, hermit monks occupied these otherworldly pinnacles, and today Meteora holds the second largest complex of Eastern Orthodox monasteries in Greece.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. This is great.
This is my second time here, so I'm excited to be here again, though. And we're going up the hill. We're going to see 2 of these up close, and you know, I'm really looking forward to, especially the mega Meteora, the big one, the Grand Meteora, which is that one behind you. So it'll be fun.
By wind and water erosion. But we know better. Local legend says
Richard and Laura and Sarah, is 1,800 feet important? Patty had 1,800 feet in her version.
In fact, 1,800 feet I think is incorrect, because both of these books say that the highest one is 970 feet.
Oh, so let's...
So
Good, thank you.
I don't think it's crucial to the script.
no.
1 second, we need Vasily to be quiet.
If he turns around,
You're getting that?
Yeah.
just ask him to turn
That-
around. That one. Okay.
Action.
Meteora means suspended in the air, And in fact, the word meteor comes from this place. Geologists say that the towering pillars get stuck in that TP.
We're
Okay.
still rolling.
Again? Okay. It's a car coming up the hill.
Okay, action, Richard.
Meteora means suspended in the air. And in fact, the word meteor comes from this place. Geologists say that these towering pillars were created by wind and water erosion. But we know better. Local legend says that these stone needles are meteors hurled to earth by the angry gods.
Okay. That was a good one. I think that was just in time.
That was a really good read.
Okay, Richard. Now you can walk back.
The high hope of my quest is at last in sight. I'll climb Mount Olympus, home to Zeus, king of the gods. As I begin my ascent, I remember that Agape had told me to be on the lookout for the spirit of one more goddess. She is known as Gaia, or Mother Earth.
Step over a little bit. So, action.
Hiking the flanks of Mount Olympus, it's easy to dial back to Gaia, who preceded even the Olympian gods. The primordial goddess Gaia emerged from chaos, the void, and it's from her that all the Olympian gods and all living things ultimately sprung. Scientists in the 1960s chose the name Gaia for a new theory that argued that Earth and all of its creatures and organisms are so closely intertwined that they form a single life form. This system attempts to keep all aspects of our planet in balance. Scientists still debate the theory, but what is unavoidable is the fact that, like the ancient gods of Olympus, all life forms originate from Mother Earth and are essential to nature's ecosystem.
All right, my man. All right, dude. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, let's hike.
How's it going? It's a little bit too dry for me. Dusty.
What's that? It's a little too dry?
Yeah, it looks dry for me, you know. This hot, dry creek dust. At last we can see the summit. We can almost reach out and touch it. It's so close. We're on day 2. Yesterday we were cursed with thunder and lightning storms from Zeus, no doubt, trying to prevent us from coming up this mountain. But we're still going, and it's 7 in the morning now, and hopefully sometime before noon we're going to be up on top at Zeus's throne. So we're above the snow line. We're about to go above the tree line. Snow all throughout here in summertime. This is a view for the gods. The Greeks, the ancient Greeks, thought the whole world was an island, and Mount Olympus was the highest peak in the known universe. The ancient Greeks never climbed up here. They didn't believe it was humanly possible. Only the gods could do this. And I almost understand why. No mountain is a walk in the park. There's always danger inherent in climbing up scree and dealing with altitude. But sometimes we forget that. And every now and then there's sort of a shock of a reminder. Here's a plaque to a woman who was climbing a Yugoslav, and she died in this spot, 1948 to 1985. So. Not feeling very divine at the moment. The gods are not making this easy for us. Hello. Did you make it to the top?
What?
Did you go to the summit? Good going. Congratulations.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Holy Zeus! This is the top of the world. You can see the whole of ancient Greece from here.
Where are we going? Where are we looking at?
That is the summit. That is Mount Olympus.
The weather's kind of threatening.
It is. It doesn't want us to be here, but I think we're going to make it. Just a few more steps. Slowly, the last few steps. Whoa, this is it. We are on top of the highest mountain in Greece. This is Mount Olympus. This is the pantheon of the gods. This is where Zeus ruled. His throne is over there. And this is where the battles were strategized, where they were fought, where the gods found their lovers. This is where all of the ancient world was overseen, was ruled. Everything happened from here.
Let's go up to this next little plateau.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and
You want to mention it?
Sure.
Yes.
So what are you doing?
This is the official logbook, where those who have achieved the summit can sign in. they make the gods very tall.
Take off to the locker, right?
Yeah. Make sure the both photos are right.
Ian, what's the program this morning?
Program is to shoot Richard and Agape up here at the Acropolis. My program is not to get burnt, so I'm putting on sunscreen, and hopefully we can get some shots that aren't too crowded, but it's crowded up there, a lot of tourists. It's July 1st, which is the beginning of the high tour season here in Greece. So we've got some competition with the crowds.
the British Museum.
A few years back, this end was covered in scaffolding and the other end was not. No.
Hey John, how does this insanity compare with previous times you've shot here?
I think this is more insane than in previous times, really.
Why don't you describe for us what's going on?
Must be, what, would you guess 30,000, 40,000 people milling around up here? I think it's just, it's chaos. Apparently some cruise ships came into the harbor today and are all here for a tour. So lots of people. And, a bit chaotic, but we'll persevere and get through it. I mean, one way or another, we'll get what we need.
It's a good thing it's a nice cool day.
Yes. Cool as, what, high 80s for us or already? It's cool to be standing in the shade, for sure.
Okay, I got two good ones.
Where's the crowd control officer?
I don't know. it's a little chaotic, but I think we're managing. We're managing.
Sweetheart, my darling girl. Mic me. Mic me!
Oh, I think I just flashed everyone my underwear. I'm sure it's not the first time. I know, I'm sure it's not, but I just really felt that one. A nice breeze.
Well, I'm trying to find a sentence about her justice, her sense of justice.
Well, she has a sense of balance and justice.
But yes, but it's almost like the justice. She's like, that's why people become lawyers, because she represents the law, the justice, but mercy. She brings compassion into the judicial system. How about that? She brings compassion into justice.
Okay.
The political process.
Nice, that's very nice. That's very nice. Do you want me to write that here? So
Yeah,
that's one thought.
yes, thank you. Passion, then you put passion. Discipline. Discipline, intellect. And imagination. Masculine and feminine. She just got it all. I'm now going to have some water. Yeah, I have my straw.
What do you got there, Sarah?
I got a marker and some paper and some cue cards now.
Agape, we're in the center of a city that's named after a goddess.
The most powerful goddess, she's a virgin goddess. The Parthenon, which is her temple, is named after her, and it's in her honor. And Richard, she is an extraordinary...
Hold on, guys, I gotta stop.
That sounded good, though.
Yeah, it's good, but I had this lady making peace signs in the background. And it ruined the shot.
We almost need somebody on that side, too.
Put Michelle somewhere so she blocks people.
I'm right there. Let's try to do it.
Let's just go again. Let's go again.
And use Athena as your first word. So
Oh, good. Great. Thank you, John. Thank you. Then do we have one more page or not? Huh? Do we have a page?
No, we only had two.
Where's Justice?
Right
This is all
in the
we
sideburns.
wrote. Do you want me to write justice somewhere?
Right here? Yeah.
I know that
Here.
Dietrich's getting his right on.
Yeah. Athena was the weaver, and then
Well, I can't just say she's the weaver because she's the goddess of civilization, and then we'll bring the weaving. It's one of her gifts.
yeah, you can start
But-
with she was the goddess of civilization. She was a weaver. She was able to weave together all the
Richard,
political
I don't want to do weaving first. I want to do the wisdom and her mind, the power of her mind.
Okay.
She brings in the mind, and then I'll bring the weaving in at the end because I want that to be the last thing
The
that
last
we,
part,
yeah,
okay.
Here.
We're starting from the beginning? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So Agape, we are in the center of a city named after a goddess.
The goddess Athena, the goddess of civilization, the protectress of the city. The city takes the name after her. And Richard, this is her place here, this is her temple. The Parthenon is where she sat, where she was worshipped, and it is the temple for the virgin goddess Athena. She is also a warrior goddess. She's a goddess that is not a warrior for war, but a warrior for peace. And that's what distinguishes from other gods.
Like Ares.
Yes, Ares, exactly. And also she brings a brilliance, she's ethical, she's the goddess of justice, and she instills mercy and compassion to the judicial system. So she brings a certain balance. She's inventive, she's strategic, and most of all, one of her main gifts that I love is that she's the goddess of weaving. But this is a metaphor of being the weaver for the political process, where she balances everything together. She combines all the elements and she creates a perfect fabric. She brings creativity, she brings compassion, she brings intelligence, she brings pragmatism, she brings intuition, and she integrates discipline, masculine and feminine, to a whole fabric where existence and the strategic process of our lives or political lives becomes a whole.
So all these strands come together.
Yes, into one whole.
Is on the left, Richard is on the right, and you come out to here.
Right.
And Richard, you could step down a step and then
Say
turn
that.
back and say that,
Yeah.
and then Agape could perform to the camera.
Okay, so
So,
do I go right here?
yes. So
Is that- okay.
let me. So the two of you come out. You could step down.
We're coming out of here.
Yes.
Yes,
And
very
then you
good.
could step down and say to Agape, could you perform for us?
Yeah.
And then as she starts to perform, you could come down here.
So if she's performing for me, how can you shoot it so that I don't block it?
So I'm over your shoulder, you guys.
Well, no, let's see you there. If I stand here and she performs it, does that work?
What if, why don't I can go handheld on this.
If you want to, sure.
And that might make it easier.
What?
You
I
can
can
move
move
around.
around you. So
Okay.
if you, so say if you come down, Richard, and you talk, why don't you have a seat?
Yeah, that's so much nicer.
And if you kind of sit
Oh,
down,
that's beautiful.
and then I can move around.
And I can even, is it
I can
okay if I
go-
lean
I
like
can-
this?
Yeah, and I can go from here and then kind of come around here
Okay.
and sort of move around.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
That's, all right.
Feeling good?
All right, you guys.
Spirit of the gods are coming in.
So don't start talking until I kind of get up to you, right? So you get kind of in your spot.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, action.
Look at this.
Wow.
Oh my God. It is an ancient,
Oh my gods.
ancient theater.
Oh my
gods.
gods and my goddesses.
Oh yeah. It makes you
They're
want
all-
to perform.
Agape, so what are you doing? What's happening here?
We're going to do a piece of Jocasta from Oedipus by Seneca, adapted by Ted Hughes. And it's the scene where Oedipus goes out to run away because there is a plague in Thebes. And Jocasta comes out of the palace and she empowers him and tells him to stay and face his destiny.
And how do you know you've got this memorized?
I'm going to make it up. Pretend this is Thebes. Pretend the house is full,
Okay.
lights,
Okay. Well,
and
I'm
I
gonna-
will...
I'm gonna sit down right here.
You'll be my Oedipus,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
So imagine Jocasta comes out of the palace. Oedipus is running away, and he says, "I'm going to run away. I can't face this. This is too much." And she turns to him and she says, "Oedipus, you are the man we rely on. You are the king, the strength, if we have strength. The heavier the threat, the stronger we should find you to bear the threat. For every challenge, an answer. A king cannot sit wringing his hands, reproaching the gods, weeping like a baby. When I carried my sons, I carried them for death. I carried them for the throne. I carried them for final disaster. When I carried my first son, did I know what was coming? Did I know what ropes of blood were twisting together, what bloody footprints were hurrying together in my body? Did I think that the debts of the past were settled before I conceived? I knew the future was waiting for him, like a hungry god. A man-eater in a cave was going to ask for everything: happiness, strength, and finally life, as if no other man existed. I carried him for this, for pain and for fear, for the cruelty of other men and his own cruelty. I carried him for death, bones, dust. But I carried him not only for this, I carried him to be king of this. And my blood didn't pause, didn't hesitate in my womb, considering the futility. It poured on into him. Blood from my toes, my finger ends, blind blood, blood from my gums, my eyelids, blood from before any time begun. It flowed into the knot of his bowels, into the knot of his brain, into the knot of his muscles. Every trickle of the dead past twisted it all into shape inside of me. What was he? What wasn't he? The question was unasked. And what was I? What cauldron was I? What cave mouth? What spread my legs and lifted my knees? Was he squeezing to hide? Was I running to escape? The strength of the whole earth pushed him through my body and out. And I saw the blood jump out after him. What was he? A bag of blood? A bag of death? A screaming mouth? He was a king's son. He was a man's shape. He was perfect. Fingers perfect. Feet perfect. He lay there in the huge darkness like a new bright weapon. He was the warrant of the gods. He was their latest attempt to walk on the earth and to live. He only had to live. And what if after all that, Oedipus, what if after all that a doubt had brought him back? And Oedipus stays and faces his destiny and does not waver. He faces his destiny. He then, of course, takes his eyes out and she kills herself. It's a real Greek tragedy. But that's the stuff the Greeks made, you know, primordial stuff of human emotion. Big. Everything was big.
The knowledge and insights achieved through conversation were enormously important to the Greeks of antiquity. Socrates, of course, developed his famous form of inquiry and debate that involved asking questions to stimulate rational thinking and new ideas. And Aristotle inspired a school known as the Peripatetics, who engaged in philosophical and scientific discussion while taking the Volta, a regular stroll through the streets of Athens. Modern Greeks still treasure conversation. Here, in the Old Town, locals sit in the sidewalk cafes sipping coffee and talking for hours. As we encounter the local people, I begin to understand what agape means about the spirits of the gods continuing to thrive within Greece today.
Όχι, ποιος ήτανε, σαν φιλόσοφος.
Ναι.
Και τι έκανε. Μη μου τους κύκλους θάνατες, δεν είπε. Στον Αλέξανδρο.
Το μη μου τους κύκλους θάνατες, το Γιάννης τότε.
Έτσι νομίζω. Ήτανε πολύ δίκαιος. And you know, you see how there is like taverna after taverna, and you think how they all keep so busy.
Yeah, and so
But
thin.
And so thin. I don't know about that. Greeks. And then you get this kind of relaxation here, where people are relaxed in the moment.
I kind of feel that.
Don't you feel that?
Yeah.
They're enjoying themselves. There's nowhere to go. There are not a lot. I mean, you see cellular phones, but not a lot of Blackberries.
Yeah. I think I have the only Blackberry.
And then it's the outdoors, the weather. It's what makes people.
The weather and the light.
Χρόνια και χρόνια τώρα τριγυρνώ σαν πολύ περιπλανόμενο. Μες στη ξενιτιά, μες στη μοναξιά που δεν την αντέχω.
Παναγιώτη, να μεταφέρεις την παρέα από εκεί για να καθίσει.
Εμάς κύριε Παναγιώτη, μας κάνουν τώρα φωτογραφία.
Βεβαίως. Και εμένα.
Και εσάς, ναι, Παναγιώτης, this is Richard.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You want Greek coffee or cappuccino? Greek coffee.
Greek coffee.
You know, this is so much part of the Greek life, where people
Sitting
just
outside the cafe.
sitting outside the cafe, chatting. I mean, when we go to the islands too, you'll see people are actually having the worry beads. They play backgammon for hours. They sit, they philosophize. They argue about the football teams. You know, Olympiakos, Panathinaikos. The country is divided to two. You know, we only have two major teams, and like if you are with the opposite teams, you're an enemy almost.
What was that all about?
It's about them sitting in a cafe and enjoying some coffee. Oh, here it comes.
Oh, look at that. You got a coffee?
Μέτριο.
Μέτριος. Και αυτός μέτριος.
And it always comes with a koulouraki. It always comes with a little biscuit.
Oh, we just saw one of these at the shop. So. Look at this. And this is the cheese pie?
Κύριε Παναγιώτη, πόσα χρόνια είστε εδώ που δουλεύετε?
5 χρόνια.
Το μαγαζί έχετε? Το μαγαζί
είναι 20 χρόνια.
So, here's the thing. After you drink your coffee, he's gonna read your coffee cup. It's a Greek tradition.
That is fantastic.
And do you know about that?
I've heard about it.
You drink it, Richard, and then you put this on top and you put it upside down like that. And then he'll tell you your fate. Like, are you meant to live in Greece? Are you meant to find love? Are you meant to have adventures in your life?
Live forever.
Are you to live forever? Or make a lot, they usually say, a lot of money comes to you, a lot of money. Να του πεις ότι...
Μπορεί όμως αν δω πράγματα,
Ναι.
κακά να τα πω.
He said whatever he sees, he'll tell you because he has to be honest. Okay, first of all, έτσι δεν το κάνεις? Όχι. He's gonna show you how you do it.
Ναι, first of all, αφού έχουμε πιει το καφέ,
Once you finish the coffee,
το ανακατεύουμε λιγάκι.
You go like
το
this.
πιατάκι είναι κάτω, έτσι.
Ναι, you see how he
Και το
does?
κοιτάμε.
And you put it like
Και το
that.
αφήνουμε κάνα 5 λεπτό, 10 λεπτό.
5-10 minutes.
5 or 10 minutes.
Ναι, εντάξει, το δικό του δεν το έκανα πολύ έτσι.
Δεν πειράζει.
Okay, no
This
problem.
one has been down for 5 or 10 minutes.
Αυτό εντάξει.
Αυτό πρέπει να είναι κανονικά τώρα.
Okay.
Οπότε και αρχίζουμε και διαβάζουμε τις γραμμές.
And then he starts to read the
I
lines.
didn't do this though.
That's okay, they said no problem.
Ούτως ή άλλως αυτά είναι μερικά πράγματα έτσι γενικά. Κάποια είναι αληθινά και κάποια είναι ψέματα.
Έλα, εντάξει, έλα. Αρχίζουμε.
We're ready.
Αρχίζουμε. Και εδώ αφήνουμε.
Okay, he's now going to...
Δεν έχει κάτσει καλά όμως. Δεν έχει καθόλου κάτσει καλά. Δεν έχει κάτσει καλά.
Μήπως θες να πεις
το δικό σου γιατί δεν έχει κάτσει.
It didn't sit very well because we didn't do this.
Κοιτάξτε, έχει καθίσει σαν μια έτσι θάλασσα να πούμε. Αυτό σημαίνει τώρα ο ωκεανούς, ξέρω.
But he sees a lot of travel and oceans.
Βλέπετε αυτό το άσπρο να πούμε, είναι απέραντο.
Okay, he said, oh my God, he said he sees incredible amount of ocean and sea travel.
Oh, what do you have?
How about that?
Εντάξει, και από εδώ αν τα πάρουμε έτσι με γραμμές, επειδή είναι σαν βουναλάκια, κάποια εμπόδια συναντάτε στο δρόμο σας.
But you'll have some obstacles on your way,
So like
Odysseus. There is no good journey without a little bit.
Σας εμποδίζουν, αλλά χωρίς επιπτώσεις.
So I have like a 10-year journey in front of me, trying to find
He said without consequences, you're just gonna get.
Χωρίς συνέπειες.
Δεν υπάρχουν συνέπειες. Is that beautiful? Συνέπεια is a beautiful word. He said, μα του λέει το φλιτζάνι, κύριε Λεωνίδα μου.
Τον είχε μάθει η κυρία Βασιλιάδο.
Ποια ήτανε?
Μια ηθοποιός παλιά, η κυρία Βασιλιάδο.
A very famous actress taught him how to. Mrs. Vasiliadou taught him how to read this. So he's a professional. We got lucky. We got together.
The island of Ithaca floats with salty originality in the Ionian Sea off the west coast of the Greek mainland.
I want to read you one of my most favorite Greek poems by the poet Kavafi. It's called Ithaca. Σαν βγεις στον πηγεμό για την Ιθάκη, να φιέσαι να είναι μακρύς ο δρόμος, γεμάτος περιπέτειες, γεμάτος γνώσεις. Τους Ληστρεγόνας και τους Κύκλοπας, τον θυμωμένο Ποσειδώνα, μη φοβάσαι. Τέτοια στο δρόμο σου ποτέ σου δεν θα βρεις, αν μένει η σκέψη σου υψηλή, αν εκλεκτή συγκίνησης το πνεύμα και το σώμα σου αγγίζει. When you set out for Ithaca, ask that your way be long, full of adventure, full of instruction. The Lastrygonians and the Cyclops, angry Poseidon, do not fear them. Such as these you'll never find, as long as your thought is lofty, as long as a rare emotion touch your spirit and your body. The Lastrygonians and the Cyclops, angry Poseidon, you will not meet them unless you carry them in your soul, unless your soul raises them up before you. Ask that your way be long, as many a summer dawn to enter, with what gratitude, what joy, ports seen for the first time, to stop at Phoenician trading centers and to buy good merchandise, mother of pearl and coral, amber and ebony, and sensuous perfumes of every kind, to raise many Egyptian cities and to gather stones of knowledge from the learned. Have Ithaca always in your mind. Your arrival there is what you're destined for, but not in the least hurry the journey. Better it last for years, so that when you reach the island you're old, rich with all you have gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to give you wealth. Ithaca gave you the splendid journey. Without her, you would have never set out. She hasn't anything else to give you. And if you find her poor, Ithaca hasn't deceived you. So wise have you become of such experience that already you will have understood what these Ithacas are all about.
Hey, Ian.
Yeah.
So why was what was trying about this morning's program?
For such a small place, there are a lot of really loud mopeds.
Okay. The Western world has vast and the glorious inspiration of the Greek myths. These strangely magnificent tales I'm Richard Banks. I think there's a motorcycle. Okay. Car. These strangely magnificent tales are deeply embedded in our culture and our collective unconscious. On this trip I hope to discover the relevance and meaning of the great gods. All right. You ready?
Yeah, action.
From the amber of ancient times to the present, the Western world has vast and the glorious inspiration of. On this trip I hope to discover the relevance and meaning the great gods of Olympus might have for us today.
and people that, mopeds don't move very fast, so it sort of takes a long time to get from one place to the other. And also, if you look, you can see them like driving all the way over here. So that sound carries all the way across the water. So someone could be driving a moped all the way down there and we could hear it. So.
And be abundant. Food or drink.
Yeah, this is a land of abundance.
Yeah, it's not a land of dieting. For sure.
So, what is this?
You know, my mother was such a Demeter, and because Demeter is so connected with her daughter, you can't think of Demeter without her daughter Persephone in the myth. And my mother was very much connected to me and Ariana, and she fulfilled herself through her love and relationship with her children. And what makes Demeter so generous and nurturing is her love for food. Mm-hmm. She has to feed you, because that's a way of saying, I care for you, I want to take care of you. And my mother, when we lived together, used to have a huge basket of nuts and dry fruits. So anybody who came at home, including the Federal Express man, she would feed them. She would always say, have something to eat. You could not leave our house without a little piece of something. Yeah. And so that makes her bountiful, that makes her the amazing goddess of that caring that she has.
Well, and that's certainly been our experience. I mean, we've been invited into strangers' homes. People have offered us food as we walk down the street. Everybody is just so.
What can I give you?
Yes.
What can I offer you?
And it even happened today when we borrowed a woman's cell phone, and rather than us pay her for the use of her cell phone,
isn't it? Yeah. It's so natural. It's so it gushes out of them.
Right.
Of them, you know?
She wanted to give us a gift.
And I think that's partly why people come to this country, Richard, and they feel like nurtured. They feel like they've fallen in love. Mm. And when you look around, you know, everywhere around us, this is the land of Demeter. From the groves to the trees, you feel the love of the earth. And that's what she really gives us.
It's the gift of the earth, the gift of generosity, the gift of food. Whoever said beware of Greeks bearing gifts did not know the Greeks.
Just beware of Greeks and their generous hearts. Okay. And in Greece, it's because Demeter and Persephone are also the goddesses of the seasons, and they represent the cyclical patterns of life, the cycle of our lives, the seasons. And it's about birth and rebirth and death and transformation. And in the Eleusinian mysteries, they were worshipped. And they were worshipped by teaching us how to let go of the material world and come to a divine essence. And focus on that. And also they were teaching us how to not outgrow and to be in touch with the daughter and the son and the child within us, so that we are always connected. You can't think of Demeter without Persephone. It's like every mother extends to her daughter, and every daughter extends to her mother. So it's a continuous line. It's a sacred relationship that mother-daughter have, or mother-sons, but it's about the mothering. So here's to the great Mother Earth Demeter.
Yes, Yasu.
Yasu.
Cape Sunion is about an hour's drive southeast of Athens, surrounded on three sides by an infinity of sea. Ancient Greece. In the tangled skein of history, it was really just a fleeting moment. Yet, it was one of humankind's most extraordinary periods of cultural and intellectual transformation. From this prolific era sprang the very essence of Western civilization, our poetry and architecture, our sciences, and our democratic form of government. Greek author Nicholas Gage wrote, "In the 5th century before Christ, an unprecedented idea rose from a small Greek city on the dusty plains of Attica and exploded over the Western Hemisphere like the birth of a new sun. Its light has warmed and illuminated us ever since. The vision, the classical Greek idea, was that society functions best if all citizens are equal and free to shape their lives and share in running their state. Essential to this revolution of human thought were the gods of Greek mythology. There was a time when the Greek gods were the mightiest and most revered deities in the Western world. They touched every aspect of human life, influenced every action. But somehow they vanished from our cosmology, leaving behind only temples, ruins, and myths. Or did they? We could put Hestia in where Artemis is.
Okay. Good idea.
There were lots of hospitality shots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And this does, this is not the definitive summary of all of the gods anyway.
No.
This is a setting up the close of the show is what it really is.
We humans created the gods in our own image. So we can better understand ourselves and the world around us. So we humans created the gods in our own image.
Why don't I just shoot it like
And
this?
then
And then we'll
in the
just do
taxi
a wide
driver,
shot of them stopping.
Okay.
And turning so we don't have to make them do the move.
Okay.
And we'll just, and then we can, I think that'll be easier to cut together. Because then it'll look a little bit better than having to zoom all the way into her. So I think we'll do that.
And we just need to make sure she opens up a little more to the
Right.
camera.
Well, she's up on one more step than he is.
Okay.
I think it'll,
Okay.
I think that'll work better.
So you want her up one step higher than Richard.
So Gapi, what did we learn on this trip? You've taken me on a remarkable odyssey, the length and breadth of Greece. So what have we learned?
Well, I think, Richard, in a sense, we've learned that the gods were created by us humans so that we can better understand ourselves and all the world around us. That they are perfectly imperfect, just like us, with weaknesses, with strengths, vulnerabilities, the dark and the light. And we see them everywhere, like in the sunsets and in the sunrise. Didn't you feel the presence of Aphrodite, where the day meets the night?
Oh, that sultry moment where they come together, yes.
She presides over that. And then when we go and look at the ocean, don't you feel the presence of Poseidon, the mighty Poseidon?
Power and
The
froth,
power and the trident and the horses and making things happen. And then in the parliament and in the courts of justice, the mighty Athena presides over that with the power of her mind and with her justice
yes. And wisdom.
and compassion, bringing the justice in everything. And then when we were in the taxis and we have Hermes taking us, a modern Hermes taking us from one place to a destination.
Our guide, yes.
Yes. And in the women, the beautiful Greek women who are making the bread and who are feeding us and making sure we eat. And They are holding the babies, just like my mother, feeding the world, making sure we've eaten. Do you know that Demeter is infusing them with this nurturing life energy? And then, of course, when we go to the houses and even at the restaurants where you have this amazing hospitality.
Oh, and the tavernas and the cafes.
This warmth of welcoming people, just open arms and open doors. You know that that's Hestia. She presides there. So the gods are alive as much today as they were 3,000 years ago through us, through our everyday actions. They passionately celebrate life. Powerful, miraculous, making things happen, making the impossible happen, abundant, and most of all, generous. This generosity of the Greek spirit. And I think you are catching that Greek spirit.
I feel Greek after this journey, after this odyssey.
So Shelley was right. After all, we are all Greek.